When you think of Spencer Rattler, how he affects this South Carolina offense and this South Carolina team, what are you expecting from him, and what do you think the ceiling is for him in Columbia?
Speaking of an interesting case study, I've never seen anything with what's been going on with Spencer Rattler. It's shocking how many people just think he stinks. Like I don't see that at all whatsoever. I mean, I never like to use quarterback wins, but there's a reason why when he was on the field, Oklahoma went 15-2, right? They won the Big 12 title in 2020 with him at quarterback. And, he's not the most refined quarterback, right? He has his flaws, right? I mean, he does look for the home run far too often. That's kind of I would say you look at the biggest flaws with any college quarterback, that's one of them, right? These are young players, they got away with it in high school, right? Where they could just do whatever and freelance and go make a play because they're playing against far less competition and they're adjusting that at the collegiate level. Pocket presence is another thing too that they just kind of have to get used to, facing better athletes on the defensive line, right? And just being more aware of that. That was an issue with him. But you just look at his pure arm talent. That's some of the best arm talent that's come through college football over the last few years. I mean, it's truly special stuff. I mean, his release is, it's absurd. I mean, he's getting the ball out, flat and, 3/100ths of a second there, or 3/10 of a second. I mean, it's awesome stuff. And, what he could do outside of the structure of the offense is, a huge bonus there. Granted, just kind of playing inside a structure sometimes, taking what the defense gives him is a big con there. And I think you look at what he did in 2021 up to the point where he got benched. And I thought Lincoln Riley did not trust him at all whatsoever. He took away those downfield opportunities. I mean, I remember the first game of the season. I mean, what was it? First or second throw, he threw an interception against Tulane. And it was just because it was a classic Spencer Rattler thing. He got greedy, tried to go through the, small window downfield, thought he could make the throw, couldn't do it. He's made a lot of those throws, but that time he didn't. And I think that at that point, Lincoln Riley was frustrated because he thought Spencer might change a little bit, and he didn't. We saw those downfield opportunities kind of get pared back a little bit. I mean, we have a good data tool here at PFF looking at heat maps and not just, targets, but, where the routes are run. You saw a pretty different Oklahoma offense this year than what it was the year before as far as some of those downfield opportunities. And so he kind of had to live on the deke and dunk passes a little bit, the intermediate game. And you still look at what he did. It was good stuff. You just didn't really see those big time, high level throws that kind of put the Oklahoma offense over the top and, led to blowouts, right? I mean, that's why there were close calls consistently. I mean, he still had one of the best accuracy rates over expectation. I mean, the negatively graded throw rate was, far below, I think anyone would ever imagine. And I encourage anyone to go back and watch every single throw from this past season. You look at what he did out there, you'll still say this is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He would be starting at 128 other FBS programs throughout the whole course of the 2021 season. So expectations for him this year, I think he can be an elite quarterback still. I'm not off the Spencer Rattler train. It's kind of wild to see, this is kind of the time for the 2023 early look at the draft, right? Last year, Spencer Rattler, he's consensus preseason favorite to be the #1 overall pick. Now, you're not even going to see him in a top 5 quarterbacks list, right? You're going to see guys like Tanner McKee, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, all three who I think, if I had to pick a quarterback to go win a game tomorrow, I'm picking Spencer Rattler 10 times out of 10 because he's just so much further along than they are. So it's an interesting dynamic there. A lot of people too talk about the off-field stuff, but we don't know that. And looking at what he is at South Carolina, they love him there. He loves South Carolina. This is a good fit. So I think this year, specifically with playing in kind of a more pro-style offense, I think it will kind of unlock his full potential a little bit. I'm excited to see what he can do in the play-action passing game there too, getting some work under center. I think that's kind of an adjustment. I think he's going to be in a good fit there. I think the biggest worry for me is just kind of the offensive line. But you look at his play style, and it's like, well, he's really pretty good at under pressure stuff, so he can thrive under that. So the biggest thing is just that I'm going to be looking for early is, can he kind of play a little bit more disciplined? And I think he will. I mean, at this point in his collegiate career, this is when you start to see those talented quarterbacks that, don't necessarily like to play like that start to come around because they understand if they want to make it to the next level, they have to do this. And so I have high expectations for him. And that's why I look at this team as a whole. At the end of the day, even like the NFL, the quarterback is still the most important piece of the puzzle. If you have an elite one, you're going to be a pretty good football team, right? I mean, that's just as simple as that. And you look at South Carolina, the talent around them. I mean, it's not like it's a pit of misery. I mean, they have some players around him I'm excited to see what Juice Wells can do from James Madison. Austin Stogner, of course, coming with him from Oklahoma. They have some guys there, Josh Vann, Jaheim Bell. I mean, he has some weapons there. The defense is good with Cam Smith. So if Spencer Rattler is going to play like I think he can, I mean, this is going to be a pretty good South Carolina football team that maybe isn't going to contend for the SEC, right? I'm not saying that, but they can kind of play spoiler to some of those teams with high expectations on their schedule because it's a pretty tough one.